There is usually no explosion or visible fire, but you will have a huge hole in your bulletproof annual budget. This is a financial impact of mostly all severe cyber incidents. You probably think that you have done all. You have SOC system services in place, monitoring your systems every day. You have implemented MFA, you're educating your employees, but still, something can always happen. In my daily life, I'm advising our clients and companies how to mitigate the risks. And it goes already far behind insurance policies. It's not only about insurance anymore. I think in our AI area, we are very fast going towards insurance companies becoming risk management companies very soon. And one of the key areas I'm working with is cyber insurance. And advising clients how to buy cyber insurance and what to pay attention to, but I can see more often that it comes about prevention as well. And insurance in general is all about financial resilience. Can you afford cyber incident or cyber attack? Here are some examples, and I think I can continue this row quite far because there are so many different things and attacks what can occur. But some major ones, like you can see from the slides how much one average data breach globally can cost for a company, or how much ransomware attacks can cost for a company in average. This is quite a large sum. This is like for one company only, for one attack. And also one major part or what can bring a lot of losses is still DDoS. We think that it doesn't exist anymore, but still companies and organizations are attacked on a daily basis. Compare these numbers to your annual IT budget. Can you cover even a single incident if it's severe and serious? These costs are not usually one-time costs, and these accumulate over the days and weeks when you're still trying to recover. So it's quite a number, and of course, it does not reflect our region, and maybe our costs are lower because companies are smaller and hopefully more resistant to cyber incidents and cyber attacks. But let's see some real-life cases as well. You might think that these are global headlines, but no, most of these have occurred here in Estonia or in Baltics as well. So let's see the first one. I think you're very familiar because it has been in the local news recently. And if you monitor Estonian news, you might know that one company faces 3 million euros of fine from Estonian Data Protection Authority, which is a lot of money for any company here. This is still going to the courts, and of course it can take 7 or even more years to be finalized, and maybe this number also changes, you never know. But it's not the only cost companies usually has to face when they are under attack or have realized that their data has gone to the wrong hands. This is like a sample list. What are the places or costs or expenses what go out from your pocket if you have this kind of incident? So this is like possible losses which can pile up very fast. So at first you have to be very operative. You have to give information. With crisis management is very, very costly. You have to notify public authorities. You have to notify all these data subjects and hire a lot of experts outside the company usually. And if everything is already cleared out from your side and IT and security measures have been established and maybe even data restored, it does not mean that you are safe because there can be any additional costs or loss to the company. For instance, loss of reputation can also result in loss of clients and also money. Or maybe big contract will be determined because you didn't have enough cybersecurity measures in place. Next one, related to ransomware attacks. We and insurance companies as well, we see less of ransomware attacks, but these are more severe, take longer time to recover, and ransomware sums luckily have started to decline, but there is always a reason behind it because many companies or countries can't pay ransom after this attack, or they have inside the company policy that they don't pay it at all, and maybe they don't need. And this is also a case from Estonia. This is only one of a few or two of a few, because we have seen similar attacks going on among our own clients as well. Some of them have been injured by us, but some, unfortunately, not. Because still cyber insurance awareness is rather low here in our region. And we will look at this information a bit later as well. And what kind of costs will occur when you're under the ransomware attack? Of course, your business will be down partially or fully, and it will be the major part of the losses. And this is what we have seen also from insurance companies' side. This is after crisis management, the next big amount of money what is paid out under insurance contracts. Always there is a question, pay or not to pay, but this is up to the companies. But if possible, we also avoid giving advice that you should pay. But from insurance point of view, I have to admit that in the last resort, you have to pay this one from insurance contracts as well. And it's rather often that we have to do it for our clients. And the third one, this case may be familiar for you as well if you are using public transport. Even I thought once on the same day actually, but I don't know what has happened to me because I can't even buy a train ticket. But it appeared that ticket systems were under DDoS attack, and it lasted almost 1 day. Different sources say that it was a couple of hours, but the disruptions lasted all day and next day as well. Because there can be very difficult, it can be very difficult to restore the systems sometimes, and it can take a time, a lot of human effort, and so on. And what are the losses usually related to ransomware? Downtime also, I showed you how much 1 minute in average can cost for companies. Hopefully it's less for Estonian companies, but maybe hopefully not, because if they are facing losing a lot of money, maybe they are making also a lot of money and supporting our economy. But this is what cyber criminals are also hoping for, that they have a place where they can get the money. I have heard even stories when they, when contacting cyber criminals, when contacting cyber criminals, they are very aware how much revenue you make for a company, and this is where negotiations start. So you can't even lie anymore how much revenue you make. Yeah, you can have all kind of prevention measures or every control from cybersecurity field in place, but still you can't control everything, and there is usually a gap in this coverage. And here are some reasons why it is so. First of all, of course, no tool guarantees you anything, because you can have the fanciest, the newest cybersecurity tool in place, but somehow cyber criminals are one step ahead all the time, and all these attacks evolve very fast and can cause a lot of damage. Secondly, human error. Human error is always there. You can't eliminate the person who can make mistakes. Thirdly, you can't control parties you're working with. Very often, cyber attacks are related to your suppliers or companies you are connected to, even cloud service companies and large companies as well, who have been attacked or breached, and you might even not know it. So it's very important for you as well to check not only your own cybersecurity, but cybersecurity of the companies you're working with. Yeah, so this is cybersecurity tools in general are for prevention, which is very beneficial for insurance companies, because insurance is all about financial resilience and about indemnifying the losses cyber attacks, incidents can cause to the companies. So how is our region doing in buying or taking up cyber insurance policies? Answer is on a slide. Actually, we're doing rather bad at the moment compared to other regions. The highest rate of insurance policy take-up is in USA. Their market is very mature, and it's rather common to take out cybersecurity policy, cyber insurance policy, and US market in general, if we put all together insurance premiums collected for cyber insurance, make 66% of global revenues. So this is, which is 2/3 of cyber insurance policies are bought in USA. And about the companies, take-up rate is quite high, like 56 to 60% of larger companies buy cyber insurance. Smaller companies a bit less, but it's more than half, which is rather good. In UK and Western Europe, situation is, let's say, average compared to USA and global. In UK, it's much bit higher because most of cyber insurance markets are also at Lloyd's of London, so markets are very close and visible. But in general, in Western European area, 20 to 30% of larger companies buy cyber insurance. There is more like passive in SME or smaller or in company sector. They take out the policies less than larger ones. But yeah, this is not. Let's say that cyber insurance is actually for all companies, and it does not say that cyber insurance is meant only for rich or large companies, because all who have data or network or digital assets can be attacked, because cyber criminals are not looking for companies, they are looking weaknesses, and they will attack accordingly. And maybe smaller companies are even better to attack, maybe. And the situation in Nordics is also rather low. Smaller and average size companies are very, very passive. They don't take out cyber insurance policies too much. but around 20 to 30% of larger companies take out cyber insurance. And our region, Baltics, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, we are doing really bad. Smaller companies don't buy cyber insurance basically at all, and larger companies is below 15% of the companies. There are several reasons. Probably if you look Estonian insurance market, if you have bought motor, TPL or travel insurance for yourself, you notice that we have a list of companies. You are probably familiar what companies they are. You are used to working with them. But if you are looking for a local company who is providing cyber insurance, this is not existing. And access to this insurance solution is through companies like us who are mediating insurance policies from foreign insurance companies. This is like Lloyd's of London or our insurance markets all around Europe, maybe even all around the world. Some myth-busting also, I have already mentioned some things, but why it is so that so few companies are after cyber insurance? And the main reasons or arguments are that this is very hard to get, which is not true at all. We have more cyber insurance providers here than for corporate property, for instance. Some companies think that this is extremely expensive. It's not anymore. Rates are declining. Also, capacities are going. This means that we have more insurance companies on the market who are interested in our companies. And also one myth is that companies can't decide whose budget this is. Is it a company's problem or is it IT problem? And our regulations actually support the fact that companies and their managers are fully responsible for cybersecurity and budget for cyber insurance as well. And one myth we want to bust, or all these myths we want to bust here, together with NeverHack, is that cyber insurance is accessible, and we try to cooperate a bit to power it up for you, for companies here in Estonia. NeverHack will provide SOC services, and we will bundle it with cyber insurance, which means that it will be really easy to buy cyber insurance if you already have cybersecurity measures in place. We will not ask too many questions, and the premium level is much better as well. Should be suitable for many companies, because as you see, only 15% of companies take out cyber insurance. Maybe next year, when I will be back here, these numbers will be already higher. So if you want to know more about cyber insurance itself, because I didn't burden you with complicated insurance terminology, when our booth is downstairs, we are close by the NeverHack booth. Please come, say hello, and ask more about cyber insurance in specific. Thank you.
Ellen, thank you very much. Take a seat, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, very interesting to learn about this. I think we just don't know about such things. I went and looked at your website while you were talking. So if I got about 5 million turnover, if I want $1 million of indemnity, it costs me about 5,000 a month. That's what the slider told me.
A year.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it was a year, pardon me. No, you're right. I said that wrong.
It's actually gone crazy cheap already, so it's nothing to be afraid of. And if we compare what the companies pay for CEOs, motor policies, this is nothing.
Okay, so and what do I get for my money? Like, and you listed a whole bunch of costs.
Yes.
There was the, reputational cost, and there was experts, there's all that. What are you covering?
Let's say that this insurance policy usually has 4 parts. One is crisis management, purely crisis management.
Okay, we've got to react straight away. What are those costs of reacting?
You have hotline number on your policy or access to applications and so on. You need to have someone coming in at once. Right. This is covered. Second part is actually like your let's say, property insurance for data and networks, which is like to restore your systems and so on. Then you have business interruption part, which like if you have bought the company property insurance and you know that if you have a fire and you can't operate and you still have to pay to your employees, pay back to your bank, and you can't earn during that period, when this insurance covers it. Only it's not fire, it's cyber attack or cyber incident as well. And fourth part is liability. So if something happens or it starts from your systems, or for instance, or if even your web page says something what should not be there, something bad about your competitors, for instance, or you are using videos or pictures what you shouldn't use, then it also covers this part.
So you mean if you get sued by someone else as a result?
Correct. And also like regulatory goes under this, and I think cyber insurance is one of the few insurances where you can get money if you get like fine from DPA, for instance.
Right, this is a fascinating one. So is there a possibility in the pharmacy case that the fine from the government could have been covered by cyber?
Yes, because in Estonia you can insure your fine as well. So it's not, but in some countries it's not allowed. In UK, I think, France, Holland, you can't insure fines, but in many countries you can, and it's allowed to do. And cyber insurance is one of a few when it's very, like, DPA fines are included.
Wow, okay. So much of what you just said and what you cover, whether that's easy or hard to do, really depends on the client's system. So are you auditing before you take out how do you know what you're getting yourself into when you insure somebody?
Insurance is always all about trust, you know. So if a client actually says, but they have measures in place, and after a claim, if they at least attempted to have these kind of measures in place, when it's okay, you can't lie on application forms. But we try to simplify it. You know, our name is easy. You have to make everything easier, even insurance. Then we will ask very few questions, and if you are good to go, and if NeverHack says that we are monitoring closely what's going on in your systems, then it will be like very few questions asked.
Okay, and that was interesting that, so NeverHack are like a partner for your insurance services. So if they're using, so you said it was lower premiums if you're using this trusted partner.
Yes.
And you said also that if something happens, you bring in experts. So that might also be another case where the experts, your insurance experts, might be NeverHack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, insurance policies usually work this way, that they have hired large international cybersecurity companies to take care of these claims, what is happening, especially if you are in a crisis. You know, your computer systems are all blocked. Maybe you have only my number in your phone at that moment, because you can't believe how often it happens that all the systems are blocked and this phone number is also blocked behind the screen. You have to print out this emergency number or keep it somewhere safe. And yes, these companies take care of it. There are separate companies even for ransomware, dealing only with ransomware attacks. So,
right. Okay, and you would bring in those specialists depend on what is the...
And they don't have to be present locally, because they can fly over, they can do everything remotely. They're professionals.
Of course. Speaking of ransomware, is there ever a case where you pay?
There can be, but this is the last resort.
Okay.
Yes, and yeah, I know that insurance companies pay this out if needed, and sometimes it can happen, but even after that, you can't get your systems back.
Sure, there's no guarantee even if you pay.
No, never. But I have often heard that they will negotiate, and half of these cases are that you just didn't know that you can restore them from a server elsewhere, or we are just panicking, and the insurance company's work is only to maybe refer and help them to restore.
Oh, like, hey, yo,
backups.
You guys know you got some backups,
Yes,
right? Oh,
yes,
we do have backups. Okay, all right.
Yes. So, and this is more common when you think.
Okay, that we could actually...
Yes.
So, okay, there's a situation where it's airtight, locked down, the ransomware people just have closed every door possible. That's rarer than you think.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, it's of course there are situations where you can't restore anything. You have to start from a zero, but this is what the insurance is for.
How? So let's say I've got my systems. It's locked down. What is your response time? How do you handle that initial seconds, minutes, and hours?
If the person calls to this hotline, usually it's depending on the insurance policy or the case, but they have to respond in 1 or 3 hours already. Okay. So it has to be fast. And in addition to like technical support, you get legal support because you need someone to tell what to do, because people don't know what they have to call to police, CERT, maybe data protection officer. They don't know what are the timelines because they're panicking.
Right. Okay, so that's what you're going to help out in
Yes,
those first
true.
moments. Okay, very interesting. Helen, thank you very much for your time today. Round of applause.
you.
Thank you, man.